On Father's Day morning, my son sent me a package that was supposed to be a surprise. But when my wife Patricia looked at it, she whispered, "Don't open it, William. Can't you see the holes?" I looked closer and froze. 20 minutes later, the police were at my door. You won't believe what was inside that box. I'm William Hayes, 52 years old, and I thought I knew my son. Turns out I was dead wrong. But let me back up and tell you how we got here. See, Austin wasn't always like this. When he was a kid, he was actually pretty decent. Helped me rebuild a carburetor when he was 12. Got good grades, said please and thank you. But somewhere around his mid-20s, something shifted. Maybe it was when his mother died 6 years ago. Maybe it was when he discovered get-rich-quick schemes on the internet. Or maybe it was when he met Madison. Madison Torres, 26 years old with 2 kids from different fathers and a social media account dedicated to financial freedom and manifesting abundance. Translation: she was always looking for someone else to pay her bills. Austin fell for her hard, and she saw dollar signs in our family name. The real problem started about 4 years ago when Austin moved in with Madison. Suddenly, every month brought a new crisis. Car repairs that cost exactly what was in his checking account. Unexpected medical bills. Credit card debt from necessary expenses that looked a lot like designer clothes and expensive dinners. I'd worked 30 years to get where I was. Started on the factory floor at Morrison Manufacturing when I was 22, right out of high school. Spent 15 years running injection molding machines, working double shifts, earning my way up to line supervisor. Then another 15 years managing 3 production lines, making sure we hit our quotas while keeping my guys safe. When the plant closed 2 years ago, they offered me early retirement with a decent package. Patricia and I figured we'd earned some peace. We were wrong. Dad, you just don't get it. I need this money now, not when you're dead. Austin slammed his laptop shut so hard, I thought he'd crack the screen. We were sitting in my living room on a Tuesday afternoon in June, and he'd just finished showing me some crypto trading app that was supposed to make us both rich. Austin, I'm not an ATM, I said, keeping my voice steady. Over the years, I'd learned that raising my voice with him just made things worse. You'll get your inheritance when the time comes. Madison was lounging on my couch like she owned the place, recording everything on her phone for one of her TikTok videos. She had this smirk that made my skin crawl. Come on, Mr. Hayes. Austin's got a real opportunity here. What's $15,000 to someone like you? Someone like me, right? Like I hadn't earned every penny through 12-hour shifts and weekend overtime. Like I just inherited it or won the lottery. Help him out? I stood up slowly. At 52, my knees weren't what they used to be after 3 decades on concrete floors, but my resolve was stronger than ever. I've been helping him out for 4 years running. My retirement fund isn't your personal investment account. Patricia appeared in the doorway, dish towel in her hands. She'd been Austin's stepmother for 8 years now, since his real mother passed. She always twisted that towel when family tensions ran high. Everyone, please, let's just talk about this calmly. Calmly? Austin whirled around to face her. He's sitting on hundreds of thousands while we're drowning in debt. Debt you created, I said quietly. Debt from your crypto gambling and get-rich-quick schemes. I looked at the evidence scattered around my living room. Austin's brand new gaming setup in the corner, easily $3,000 worth of equipment. Madison's designer handbag on the coffee table, the expensive sneakers they were both wearing. Their suffering looked pretty comfortable to me. The family photo on the mantel had somehow gotten turned face down during Austin's dramatic presentation. I didn't remember knocking it over, but there it was, showing nothing but the dark wooden backing. The picture was from 6 years ago, Austin graduating from community college with his associate degree, back when I still thought education would straighten him out. Look, Mr. Hayes, Madison said, still filming. Austin's not getting any younger. This crypto thing could set us up for life. Bitcoin's going to hit $100,000. We just need seed money to get in while it's low. Seed money. I'd heard variations of this speech before. Last year, it was day trading stocks. Before that, it was a multi-level marketing scheme selling energy drinks. Austin had a talent for finding opportunities that required someone else's money and promised impossible returns. Because I worked 30 years for that money, I said. Each word came out harder than the last. 30 years of double shifts, missed dinners, overtime weekends. So you could have a decent childhood, Austin. so your mother and I could retire with some dignity." "Dignity?" Austin laughed, but there was no humor in it. "What's dignified about hoarding money while your son suffers?" The word hoarding hit me like a slap. I thought about the 401k contributions I'd made every paycheck for 20 years, the overtime shifts I'd worked to max out my contributions, the vacations Patricia and I had postponed so we could build a nest egg. Was planning for retirement really hoarding? "Your suffering is self-inflicted," I said before I could stop myself. "Every crisis, every emergency, every desperate plea for money, you created them all." The silence stretched tight. Patricia stepped fully into the room, her face pale. I could see her trying to find words that would diffuse the situation, but we were past that point. Madison's expression shifted to something uglier. She was still recording, probably planning to edit this into some sob story about toxic boomer parents for her followers. "You know what I think, Mr. Hayes? I think you enjoy watching us struggle. Makes you feel powerful, doesn't it? Like you're still the big boss from the factory." "Get out," I said. The words came from somewhere deep in my chest. "Both of you. Get out of my house." "Your house?" Austin's eyes glittered dangerously. "This house that Mom helped pay for before she died? This house where I grew up? You can't just kick out your own son. Watch me." But they weren't moving. They stood there like predators who'd caught the scent of weakness, waiting for me to back down. Waiting for the usual apology, the usual compromise, the usual check written to buy temporary peace. Not this time. I walked to the front door and opened it wide. Cool evening air rushed in, carrying the scent of barbecue smoke from the neighbors. The Andersons were having their weekly cookout. Normal families having normal conversations. When was the last time we'd had one of those? "Austin," I said without turning around, "take your girlfriend and leave. Don't come back until you're ready to have a respectful conversation about getting a real job." "You'll regret this," he hissed, grabbing Madison's hand. "When you're old and sick and need someone to take care of you, remember this moment. Remember how you chose money over family." Their footsteps echoed across my hardwood floor, floors I'd installed myself 10 years ago when we remodeled. Madison paused at the threshold, still filming with her phone. "This isn't over, old man," she muttered. "Family doesn't abandon family." The door slammed hard enough to rattle the windows. Patricia and I stood in the sudden quiet. Through the decorative glass panels, I watched Austin's beat-up Honda speed out of our driveway, music thumping loud enough to wake the dead. 30 years, I whispered, more to myself than to her. 30 years I worked overtime so he could have new clothes, college tuition, that car for his 18th birthday. Patricia picked up the scattered papers from Austin's crypto presentation, charts and graphs promising impossible returns, testimonials from people who'd supposedly made millions overnight. The same garbage I'd seen him chasing for 4 years now. "He's struggling, William," she said softly. "The addiction is real. The crypto gambling is his choice," I replied, my voice sharper than I intended. "Every online trade, every app download, every lie about where the money went, his choices." I walked to the mantel and righted the family photo. Austin at his community college graduation, wearing the cap and gown I'd paid for. That was 6 years ago, back when I still thought education would give him direction. Instead, he'd discovered online trading forums and YouTube videos promising financial freedom through cryptocurrency. The decline had been gradual. First, it was just $500 here and there for investment opportunities. Then it became $2,000 emergencies when his trades went bad. Last year, I'd bailed him out of a $8,000 credit card debt from margin trading gone wrong. Each time he promised it was the last time. Each time I believed him because I wanted to. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, but I recognized the writing style immediately. "Dad, hope you're happy. Bills are due and rent is late, but apparently your precious money is more important than your son. Don't expect to see us anytime soon." Us, the ultimate weapon in Austin's arsenal. Madison had 2 kids from previous relationships, Sophia, 8, and little Nathan, 6. Sweet kids who called me grandpa even though we weren't blood related. Austin knew exactly where to strike to cause maximum pain. I showed Patricia the message. Her face crumpled. Those kids had become the grandchildren she'd never had, and Austin had weaponized them against us more than once. He wouldn't really keep the kids away from us, would he? But we both knew he would. He'd done it before during smaller arguments. A week here, 2 weeks there, whenever we didn't immediately comply with his financial demands. The kids became bargaining chips in his endless quest for money. William, maybe we should reconsider. No. The word came out like a gunshot. No more. I won't be held hostage by threats about the grandchildren. My phone buzzed again. Then again. Austin was on a roll now, sending message after message, screenshots of overdue bills, photos of empty refrigerators that looked suspiciously staged, links to cryptocurrency success stories from influencers with Ferrari profiles. The pattern was always the same. Create a crisis, present evidence of suffering, share stories of missed opportunities, then demand immediate financial rescue. I'd fallen for it so many times that I had the script memorized. I turned the phone off and set it on the kitchen counter. For the first time in 4 years, I wasn't going to respond to his manipulation with my wallet. That was Tuesday evening. By Wednesday, Austin had called 12 times. By Thursday, Madison was posting TikTok videos about financially abusive parents and boomer greed. By Friday, they'd blocked Patricia and me on all social media platforms. The silent treatment was supposed to punish us into submission. Instead, it felt like relief. Patricia and I spent the weekend doing things we hadn't done in years. We went to dinner without worrying about crisis calls. We watched a movie without checking phones every 10 minutes. We talked about retirement plans without calculating how much we'd need to keep supporting Austin indefinitely. Saturday afternoon, I was organizing my home office when I noticed something that made my blood run cold. The credit card statement from last month, the one I'd briefly reviewed but not studied carefully. There it was, line item 47, Reptile Express, $89.99. Austin was still an authorized user on my credit card for emergencies. I'd given him that access during his first apartment 4 years ago, back when I trusted him to use it responsibly. The charge was dated 3 weeks ago, right after our big argument about the inheritance money, Reptile Express. I Googled the company. Premium exotic pets delivered nationwide. Snakes, lizards, spiders, and more. Overnight shipping available. My hands started shaking. Austin had used my own credit card to buy whatever he was planning to send me. The audacity was breathtaking, but it was also evidence. Concrete proof that whatever was coming, he'd planned it in advance. I called the credit card company immediately. Mr. Hayes, I show that charge was made by an authorized user on your account, the customer service rep explained. Austin Hayes, authorized since 2020. I want that authorization removed, I said, effective immediately. I can certainly help you with that, sir. Any particular reason for the change? How do you explain to a stranger that your son is planning something that requires live animals? Family situation, I said. Just remove his access, please. Within an hour, Austin's access to my credit card was terminated. His automatic payments were canceled. For 4 years, I'd been his financial safety net. Not anymore. Sunday morning arrived with unusual peace. Father's Day. Patricia made my favorite breakfast, eggs over easy with hash browns, just like my mother used to make. I sat on the front porch with my coffee and the newspaper, trying to find normalcy in the morning routine. The Andersons were loading their car for what looked like a family picnic. The Millers were working in their garden with their grandkids, teaching them how to plant flowers. Normal families, normal Sunday mornings, normal fathers who didn't have to worry about what their adult children might be planning. Around 10 a.m., a brown UPS truck rumbled down our street and slowed in front of our house. My stomach dropped. We weren't expecting anything, and Saturday delivery was one thing, but Sunday service was expensive. The driver hopped out, checked his handheld device, then grabbed a medium-sized box from the back. He approached with the professional efficiency of someone working holiday overtime. William Hayes? That's me. Happy Father's Day, he said, offering me the package and his electronic clipboard. Someone must think highly of you to pay for Sunday delivery. I signed my name, studying the shipping label as he walked away. No return address visible, just generic shipping information from some fulfillment center in Ohio. The box felt surprisingly light for its size, maybe 2 pounds at most, roughly the dimensions of a shoebox. Who's that from? Patricia called from the kitchen doorway, wiping her hands on her apron. No idea, but I had a pretty good idea. My stomach was already churning as I carried the package inside, setting it on the coffee table where Austin's crypto papers had been scattered just 5 days earlier. Patricia approached, her expression curious but cautious. After 8 years of marriage to me and watching Austin's decline, she'd developed good instincts about trouble. No return address, she observed, examining the shipping label. Maybe it's from the kids, I suggested, though my voice lacked conviction. Sophia had asked about Father's Day when we'd seen them last month, before the big argument, before the threats. But an 8-year-old wouldn't have access to Sunday shipping rates. Patricia leaned closer, examining the box with the methodical attention she brought to everything from grocery shopping to grading papers when she was still teaching. Her fingers traced the edges of the shipping label, then stopped. "William," she said slowly, "don't open it." "Why?" She pointed to something I'd missed entirely in my casual handling. "Can't you see the holes? They're tiny, but they're there. Breathing holes." My blood turned to ice water. Now that she'd pointed them out, I could see tiny punctures in the cardboard, barely visible unless you knew to look. Small, precise holes that someone had clearly made with a nail or awl. Breathing holes meant something alive was inside. We both stared at the innocent-looking package as if it might suddenly sprout legs and scurry away. The morning sunlight streaming through our windows felt less warm now, the suburban quiet more ominous. From inside the box came the faintest sound, a soft rustling that made us both freeze. The sound stopped as quickly as it had started, leaving us in tense silence. "Did you hear that?" Patricia whispered, grabbing my arm. I nodded, unable to trust my voice. Whatever was in that box was very much alive, and it was waking up. A soft hissing sound emerged from the cardboard, barely audible but unmistakably real. We both backed away from the coffee table like it was a bomb about to explode. "William," Patricia breathed, her fingernails digging into my arm through my polo shirt. "Call someone. Now." My hand shook as I pulled out my phone. The numbers felt foreign under my trembling fingers as muscle memory took over while my mind struggled to process what we were facing. 911, what's your emergency? We have a suspicious package with something alive inside, I said, the words tumbling out faster than I intended. It was delivered this morning with no return address, and it's making sounds. Sir, can you describe the sounds you're hearing? I glanced at Patricia, who nodded encouragingly. The hissing had stopped again, but we both knew it would return. Hissing. Like a snake. Are there any visible threats or damage to the package? No visible damage, but there are small holes punched in the cardboard. Breathing holes. My voice cracked on the last words. Sir, I'm dispatching officers to your location immediately. Please maintain a safe distance from the package and do not attempt to open it under any circumstances. Can you move to another room? We're about 6 feet away in our living room. Should we leave the house? Stay inside but keep your distance. Officers should arrive within 15 to 20 minutes. Do not touch or move the package. 15 to 20 minutes felt like an eternity when something dangerous was sitting on your coffee table, growing more active with each passing moment. The hissing came again, longer this time, followed by a rustling that suggested movement, something shifting position inside the confined space. Who could have done this, William? Patricia asked once I'd hung up. The question I'd been dreading. The answer felt obvious, but saying it out loud would make it real. Would acknowledge that my son had crossed a line I'd never imagined possible. I'm afraid to guess, I admitted. But my mind was already there, connecting dots I didn't want to see. The timing wasn't coincidental. Father's Day, 5 days after our argument, from an anonymous sender who knew our address, our schedules, our vulnerabilities. Someone angry enough about our recent fight to plan something this elaborate, this cruel. Someone with access to my credit card who'd purchased something from Reptile Express 3 weeks ago. The argument, Patricia said quietly. 5 days ago. He was so angry when he left. She didn't need to say Austin's name. We were both thinking it, both arriving at the same horrible conclusion through different paths of logic and dread. But this, I gestured at the package, this isn't just anger. This is something else. Revenge. The word hung unspoken between us, too ugly to voice but impossible to ignore. My son, the child I'd raised and supported despite his flaws, had sent us something designed to frighten or harm us. The box rustled again, more insistently this time. Whatever was inside was definitely awake now, probably confused by its surroundings, possibly agitated by our voices and movement. What kind of person does this to their own parents? Patricia's voice broke on the question. Someone desperate, I said, though the words felt inadequate. Someone who thinks they've been wronged. But deep down I knew it was more than desperation. This required planning, calculation, a level of malice that spoke to something fundamentally broken in the relationship between parent and child. Austin hadn't just lashed out in anger. He'd crafted a deliberate act of psychological warfare. The sound of car doors slamming outside made us both jump. Through the front window, I could see a police cruiser in our driveway, followed by a second vehicle. 2 officers walking toward our door with the purposeful stride of people trained to handle dangerous situations. Relief flooded through me so quickly it made my knees weak. Professional help had arrived. Soon, whatever nightmare lurked in that innocent-looking package would be someone else's responsibility to handle safely. The doorbell rang, sharp and authoritative in the tense quiet of our home. "Mr. Hayes, I'm Officer Rodriguez. We received your call about a suspicious package." I opened the door before he could knock a second time. Officer Rodriguez was maybe 35, solidly built with the practiced alertness of someone who'd handled his share of domestic emergencies. His partner, Officer Kim, was already pulling on latex gloves. "Yes, thank you for coming so quickly," I said, stepping aside to let them enter. "It's in the living room." "You did exactly the right thing calling us," Officer Rodriguez said, wiping his boots on our welcome mat. "Can you show me the package?" We led them to the living room where the box sat on our coffee table, looking smaller and less threatening now that professional help had arrived, but still emanating an aura of menace. Officer Kim approached carefully, examining the shipping label without touching the box. "When did this arrive?" "About 45 minutes ago," I said. "Sunday delivery. Someone paid extra for weekend service." "No return address visible," Officer Rodriguez noted, making entries in his notebook. "And you heard sounds coming from inside?" "Hissing," Patricia said quietly. "Like a snake." Officer Kim nodded matter-of-factly. "I've handled similar situations before. Usually non-venomous, but we take every precaution." He reached for his radio. "I'm calling animal control. They have proper equipment for safe removal. Dispatch, this is Unit 23 requesting animal control services at 1247 Maple Street. Suspected snake delivery in residential package." The radio crackled back with confirmation. "Animal control ETA 25 minutes. Officer Rodriguez turned back to us, shifting from procedural efficiency to investigative curiosity. "Do you have any idea who might have sent this?" The question I'd been dreading. I felt Patricia's eyes on me, waiting to see how I'd respond. I looked at these 2 officers, decent people trying to help us, and wrestled with the choice between honesty and family loyalty. "Probably just some prank," I said carefully. "Kids, you know." His gaze sharpened slightly. "Kids would need access to live animals, shipping materials, knowledge of your address. This required planning and resources." My mouth went dry. He was right, of course. Someone with means and motive had deliberately sent us a snake on Father's Day. Someone who knew exactly how to hurt us most. "Have you had any recent conflicts?" "Family disagreements?" Officer Kim asked. "Family disagreements." The phrase hung in the air like an accusation. Patricia tensed beside me, both of us walking the tightrope between honesty and loyalty. "Nothing that would lead to this," I managed, though the lie tasted bitter. Officer Rodriguez studied my face, noting the hesitation, but he didn't push. Instead, he pulled out his notebook. "Any unusual charges on your credit cards recently? Pet stores, exotic animal suppliers?" The question hit me like a physical blow. The Reptile Express charge burned in my memory like a brand. $89.99 charged 3 weeks ago to the card Austin had access to. But admitting that would mean admitting my son had tried to terrorize me. "Can't think of any," I said quietly. 25 minutes later, Mike Johnson from Animal Control worked with the methodical efficiency of someone who'd handled stranger situations than ours. Within another 20 minutes, he'd safely extracted a 3-foot corn snake from the shipping box, confirmed it was non-venomous, and loaded it into a secure carrier for transport to a local reptile rescue. "Beautiful specimen," he said, securing the carrier in his van. "Someone paid good money for this one. Corn snakes make excellent pets when properly cared for. Shame someone used it for whatever this was." Officer Rodriguez shook hands with both of us before departing. "Call if you remember anything else about possible senders, Mr. Hayes. Even pranks like this can escalate if left unchecked." I nodded, maintaining the facade of cooperation while my mind churned with darker possibilities. Both vehicles disappeared down our quiet suburban street. leaving Patricia and me alone with the morning's aftermath. The living room felt different now, violated somehow, despite the professional cleanup. The coffee table bore faint water stains where Mike had disinfected the surface. Patricia busied herself in the kitchen, the clatter of dishes masking her stress. I stood at the front window watching the Andersons return from their Father's Day outing, their car loaded with picnic gear and children's laughter. The credit card charge burned in my memory. Reptile Express, $89.99 3 weeks ago. Perfect timing for planning revenge. Austin had used my own money to terrorize me. My phone felt heavy in my hands as I scrolled to Austin's contact information. His smiling photo looked back at me, a picture from Sophia's birthday party last year, before the financial demands had escalated, before this morning's snake delivery. "Are you really going to call him?" Patricia asked quietly from the kitchen doorway. "I need to know for certain." The phone rang twice before he picked up. "Dad?" Austin's voice carried artificial brightness, the tone he used when he was hiding something. "How's your Father's Day going?" If he was innocent, the question was natural. If he was guilty, it was cruel mockery. "Interesting morning, actually." I kept my voice conversational. "Austin, you wouldn't happen to know anything about a strange Father's Day gift, would you?" "No, Dad. What happened?" His response came quickly, almost too quickly, but it was what happened next that confirmed my worst suspicions. In the background, unmistakably, I heard Madison's quiet laughter. Not the surprised chuckle of someone hearing unexpected news, but the satisfied snicker of someone who thought they'd gotten away with something clever. The sound hit me like a physical blow. All doubt vanished in that moment of careless amusement. My son had sent me a snake, and his girlfriend found it entertaining. "Just some confusion with a delivery," I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. "Nothing important." "I should let you go. Are you sure everything's okay? You sound strange." Strange. I was discovering that my only son had tried to terrorize me with a live reptile, and he thought I sounded strange. "Everything's fine, Austin. Enjoy your Sunday." I ended the call before she could respond, before my carefully maintained composure could crack completely. The phone trembled in my hands as the full weight of betrayal settled over me. Patricia appeared at my side, reading my face with the intuition of 8 years of marriage. "You heard something?" Madison laughed. In the background, when I asked what happened, she laughed like it was the funniest joke she'd ever heard. Her hand found my arm, a steadying presence. "What are you going to do?" I looked at my phone, then toward my home office, where the computer held access to bank accounts, credit cards, and all the financial tools that had kept Austin afloat for 4 years running. I'm going to teach my son about consequences. That evening, I sat in my home office with the door closed, computer humming quietly. I'd spent the afternoon walking through our neighborhood, reviewing 4 years of financial decisions that had brought us to this moment. The anger had settled into something colder, more purposeful. My desk held the accumulated evidence of a father's generosity gone wrong. Bank statements showing monthly transfers to cover Austin's rent, credit card bills I'd paid without question, the Reptile Express charge that had purchased my Father's Day surprise. I opened our online banking portal. Austin appeared as an authorized user on my credit card, a status I'd granted him 4 years ago for emergencies. 20-year-old emergencies that had multiplied into a permanent lifestyle. I clicked Remove User. The system prompted me with security questions, simple answers that unlocked tools I should have used years ago. Remove Authorized User, the screen asked in neutral blue text. I clicked Confirm. Next came the PIN changes. Austin had somehow learned the numbers, probably watching over my shoulder during one of our many financial rescue missions. I selected new digits, the year Patricia and I were married. The automated payments required more attention, monthly transfers to his checking account, recurring payment for his car insurance. Each cancellation required confirmation, a digital paper trail of my decision to stop being his private bank. My hands remained steady throughout the process. This wasn't cruelty, it was overdue accountability. The final screen showed a summary of changes. Credit access removed, automatic payments canceled, PIN codes updated. 4 years of enabling undone in 30 minutes of methodical clicking. Save changes. Monday morning arrived with Austin's panicked phone call at 8:15 a.m., exactly as expected. "Dad, what have you done? My card isn't working. Austin, I know you sent me that Father's Day gift." The silence stretched for several heartbeats. When he spoke again, His voice had shifted to defensive fury. One little prank and you lose your mind? There it was. Not a denial, not confusion, but an admission wrapped in minimization. He'd sent me a live snake as a little prank. A prank involving a dangerous animal isn't little, Austin. And a father protecting his retirement after 4 years of enabling isn't losing his mind. It's finally finding it. His voice turned arctic. This isn't over, old man. You think cutting off money will control me? We'll see about that. But it was over. 3 weeks later, Patricia and I consulted our lawyer about restraining orders and will modifications. Austin learned that actions have consequences, and I learned that love sometimes requires saying no. The snake, ironically, was exactly the wake-up call I needed. Austin thought he was punishing me, but he actually set me free. Sometimes the best Father's Day gifts come in the most unexpected packages.